Perfect. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining our community meeting today. I feel like anytime we have a major release, we've got really exciting notes, big enhancements, but I think you'll find that this minor release bump of 6.5 has a lot of exciting updates. So want to make sure that we can give time to all the presenters today to run through it. A lot of features packed into this in a non-breaking way. So really excited to run through what we've got here today. If you don't know me, my name is Evan Wilkinson. I manage the PatternFly enablement team. Part of the management group here on PatternFly. Today we'll be hearing from a number of members across the team. Let me go ahead and give an overview here. So mostly all about PatternFly 6.5. A lot of these related items kind of went live at the same time. So the general overview of today's agenda is actually starting with an overview of 6.5. So giving you an idea of what we've been working on for the past several months, kind of the why behind it, highlights of the big ticket items that are there. And then we'll move over into some demos, so a specific demo on one feature of PatternFly 6.5, and then kind of a broader demo taking a look at implementation of PatternFly 6.5 in a product. So in Hummingbird, aka Red Hat Hardened images, get to see that kind of outside of our demos and in actual product usage that's live. Then we'll pivot over to talk about some exciting updates we've got on AI tooling, which has been a big focus for us. So dive into some of the specific tools there and have some demos along the way. Second to last, move over to an update on our website, help you kind of find your way through all of these different resources, and as we continue to grow, kind of what we're delivering, make sure that you can easily get to what you need. And then we'll round it out with some research on Project Felt. We've got some survey results on the Project Felt theme that we've rolled out. So if you're wondering what exactly is that, I think we'll touch on that a little bit in the overview here. We'll keep an eye on time as we go, and if there are questions, feel free to share those in the chat or raise your hand. That works well. And if we have time at the end as well, we can always open up the floor to any other thoughts or feedback as well. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and jump us right into PatternFly 6.5 overview. I believe Jan and Andrew are going to talk us through this. And if you want, I can drive the slides.
That'd be great, Evan. Thanks. Hey, my name is Jan Wright. I'm the acting product manager for the PatternFly design system. And I'm going to speak today a little bit about the elevator pitch behind 6.5 and our new Project Felt theme that we're rolling out. As you can see here, we're really focusing on bridging the gap between our brand digital and product experiences here at Red Hat. Currently, our users are forced to navigate a complex and fragmented digital ecosystem as they engage with Red Hat. Their journey spans across our marketing materials, various marketplaces, and eventually our actual products. It is meant to be a simple see, buy, use path, but our underlying infrastructure is split. It feels more like 3 disconnected experiences. Internally, we're maintaining 2 separate design systems, PatternFly for our products and the Red Hat design system for our digital properties. This fundamental division creates duplicated effort across our organization, forces us to solve the same design problems twice sometimes, and directly results in inconsistent experiences for our customers. So the goal. Our objective is to resolve this fragmentation by creating a truly cohesive see, buy, use journey for our customers. This effort is centered on unification. The goal is to visually align every single customer touchpoint so that regardless of whether a customer is interacting with us on a web page, in a marketplace, or within our products, they consistently experience Red Hat as one coherent company. And the value of this unification is massive, leading to benefits for both of our teams and our customers. We gain immediate efficiencies, we accelerate development, we improve quality, and we reduce cost. Next slide, please. And this slide is speaking to our phase strategy on bringing PatternFly and Red Hat design systems together. This slide outlines the strategic roadmap for achieving a goal of a unified see, buy, use experience. This isn't a simple flip the switch project. It's a deliberate multi-phase plan to bring PatternFly and the Red Hat design system together. So for phase one, we are releasing Project Felt, which is our unified theme. This initial phase is focused on achieving immediate visual alignment. Our key deliverable here is the PatternFly 6.5 release, which will introduce a shared visual language across both design systems with our new Project Felt theme. At this stage, both systems look the same, but they will still be independently built from their own underlying design tokens. This gives us rapid visual unity without immediately requiring deep technical changes from our consuming teams. Phase two is focused on token alignment. Once the unified theme is stable, we move into phase two, focusing on token alignment. This is where we build the new shared technical foundation. In this phase, we will establish new unified set of tokens. These tokens are the technical backbone covering essential elements like color, typography, spacing, motion, and elevation. This unified set will serve as a single source of truth for both our digital properties and our product experiences. Phase three represents our final vision, where we bring the two design systems together with shared tokens firmly established. We'll deliver a single monolithic design system. This final state includes a single design system and single Figma library, both sourced entirely from these new unified tokens. This is where we realize the ultimate goals of efficiency and complete consistency across the entire customer journey. I'll now hand it over to Andrew, who will get into a little more details about our 6.5 release.
Thank you. So I'm not sure if many of you know this, but PatternFly recently turned 12 a couple weeks ago, and it's gone through a big iteration, but it is, at its core, it was originally an open source design system meant for everyone, like Red Hat is. So we have expanded it. We do have the default blue that's still present in all of PatternFly. It's been kind of our brand color, but now leveraging this opportunity to collaborate more with the Red Hat design system and the brand team, we have introduced more touches of red, I guess, in the console. So we still have these two different distinct themes. One is our open source community theme, which is the core PatternFly that you all are very familiar with, but now we're introducing Project Felt. So this is bringing together, like, we're unifying a lot of the border radii that we've already introduced in PatternFly to make them more consistent, adding more pill shapes, which is consistent with some of the brand assets that have been created recently. We're also adding accent color of the brand red in certain elements. So you can see in these very small screens, there is a new accent mark on things like navigation and tabs. In the core PatternFly, it's still blue, whereas in the new theme, it's red. CTA buttons are unique buttons where we want to kind of grab attention. They will also use red, where our standard primary actions are still going to remain in the blue interaction color. So we're just trying to create more visual cohesion with all these changes and incorporate more brand elements into the new theme. If you go to the next slide, we've also added the new glass surface color, which really helps bring in some of the brand assets. We have backgrounds now, whereas traditionally in PatternFly it's a very flat surface level. Now we've added a little more depth into the screens, using background images as a way to kind of create a little bit more visual interest and contrast in the screen. So the glass effect also does a blur and creates more layers and that depth feeling. And then they can take advantage of certain brand material that I'll get to in a second. We went through a lot of process to make sure that we're finding the right balance of that opacity, so that works both in light and dark mode, but still is mindful of accessibility. So we had a pretty rigorous testing with backgrounds to make sure that we were still complying with AA accessibility standards. And then we have things that we're mindful of, and there are some technical limitations in browsers where we can't stack multiple layers of glass. So there is some like variations where overlays will have a more opaque, and that kind of reduces the noise as you get more and more layers added on top. With the addition of high contrast mode, I believe we launched in beta in 6.4. Now it's fully supported in 6.5. So we've introduced this in both our default PatternFly and Project Felt themes. So the aim here is to have full AAA compliance, 7:1 ratio for text. And we're adding a lot of like border colors to help identify objects on screen. This is enabled either through the user's operating system, or it can be set in the product itself. And so things like the glass surfaces will all be turned off when high contrast is enabled. So it really removes any kind of issues and respects accessibility more truly in that regard. And then we also added new layouts. There's on the screen here, there's the new compass layout with kind of 4 quadrants of navigation and interaction items around the main content area. And then things like the hero cards and doc nav. I think the doc nav will have a demo later. We've added some new functionality into PatternFly without any breaking changes. In Figma, we've introduced, we had a separate file for all of our design tokens. We've actually moved them all into the same component file. So we have a new style and component library. It's the same file that you were using before. We just kind of merged the two. So anyone who was using that, our existing design kit, can remain using that kit. It shouldn't break any of your previous mockups that you created in Figma. Just all future tokens will reference those new files. Sorry, the updated file. We've also brought in all the Red Hat icons into the design library where we originally were on Font Awesome. So all brand icons have been added both in design and in code implementations with this release. We did not deprecate the Font Awesome icons. So if you are relying on Font Awesome icons during the transition phase, they're still there. You don't worry about having all your icons just disappear off the screen. But we've tried to take some of the work out for you where we've actually swapped out the icons in our examples in our code. And the things like carrots that are baked into the components. And then we're working currently on the patterns and extensions file for things like topology, chatbot, quick starts. Those are all being updated with the latest tokens so that they can all inherit the new project felt theme and the updates that we've made in this release. And if you want to vibe code or prototype using this new theme or the glass effect, there are 2 classes that you can turn on in the HTML root. There's the project felt theme PFV6 theme felt, which will enable all the Red Hat goodness. And then there's another modifier, the PFV6 theme glass will turn on glass mode. That is both in light and dark for both of those versions. For upstream projects, they're still using the blue. So if you're like, I don't know, an upstream version of OpenShift, I think is OKD, that would still use the PatternFly blue because it is a community project, whereas more Red Hat traditional projects will be, or OpenShift, Console.dot, Ansible, those are all using the Red Hat theme. Next slide. I mentioned the backgrounds. So we worked with the brand team to generate these backgrounds based on the platform artwork that was already available, but we made them a little bit more abstract and simplified, removed some of the depth or contrast. So because they're now layered behind all of our content on screen, we really wanted to make sure that they would not have any issues with legibility with the new glass effect. So these examples are the ones that have been created to date. And I think if you would like to request more, you can reach out to the brand team, and links to the actual background images are in that brand portal link at the bottom of the screen there. Lastly, we are going to be running a AMA session this Friday for the Day of Learning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So if you have any questions about how to use PatternFly 6, we'll be happy to meet and chat with you. Please come join us. We're not super scary. We're all pretty friendly. And there's just a lot of complexity, I think, with the rolling out of new themes in Figma. There's new features baked in that we took advantage of in this latest release. So it's a bit of a learning curve to adjust to, but we're more than happy to chat with you about that. And then also, I think closing this Friday, there is some research that we're running through this rubric to evaluate project felt theme. We'll talk a little bit about that later on as well, but it'll take about 5 to 7 minutes. But if you want to contribute to the review of the new project felt theme, please click on the link here in the slide. And that's it for me.
Thanks, Andrew and Jan. And just one quick question for clarity. I see the date for that survey is Friday, May 29th. Maybe look at Pat. Is that what we're going to review later? Is that officially closed now?
I had actually edited that to say Friday, June 5th, and somehow it didn't. It's looking good on my copy. You might have gone into presentation mode before I got to it.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry about
cool.
that.
So it is still live. So
yeah, this Friday.
Great. All right. So those of you scrambling to that link, you got some time. Awesome. Thanks. Well, hopefully that gives you an overview of what the team's been up to. A lot of updates, visual changes, layout changes, alignment with brands. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into a little bit of the specifics here. So for doc navigation, I think Michael Coker is going to give us an overview of what that is. Do you want to steal the screen share? Does that work?
That'd be great. Thank you. Thanks, Evan. All right, so I want to try and cover this quickly. I know we have a lot to show today. So this is our new doc nav feature. It's very cool, and I apologize. I'm gonna have to restart the share. For some reason, it freezes. It doesn't show what I'm actually showing. See if this works better. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so if you want to see it on the website, you just go to patternfly.org, and under the navigation component, you go to the demos section, HTML demos or React demos. React demos are where the fun stuff really happens, because you'll see a full-fledged demo. Just look under doc nav. Here's some documentation about it, but the cool part is here. So this is the new doc nav layout. You can see basically it's a very similar layout to the existing page, except we have what's called a doc navigation. Instead of a traditional vertical sidebar, this gives you a lot of extra space in the layout to use for your page content, and keeps the navigation pretty simple and short on the side. This works obviously great for a relatively simple hierarchy of navigation items. If your items can be represented by icons, it's perfect. But one cool feature about it is that the icons don't have to be exactly perfect, because you do have a toggle where you can switch between traditional nav layout and doc nav. So you flip into this full text view, and you get a full, if you can tell, you get a full logo, full nav, you get full items and doodads and whatnot, whatever you might have down there. And so that's basically how this presents on the desktop view. I'll show it. This is in glass mode. I'll show it in non-glass mode, just highlighting some of the stuff that Andrew had and Jan had just talked about. Our default theme, felt theme, dark, glass. And so this is basically what you see there. Another thing that's worth noting is that for accessibility within this view, you want to be sure and include some accessible labels for these items, since they're icons only. And so these are using the PatternFly tooltips for an accessible label for all of these. And so if you shrink the page down, the view that you get on mobile is a traditional masthead, where you can have links to, or not links, items in this that maybe are easily accessible types of actions that you want folks to have. But this hamburger icon just flips open the same doc nav that you had before. It just puts it into the full text mode by default. So on mobile, you don't get the compact docked view of the navigation, since it never actually takes up layout on the page. Even when it pops out here, it's just overlaying the content. It's not shrinking the content at all. So since we're overlaying the nav, and you shouldn't have it open ideally on mobile all the time anyways, we'll just give you the full page version. So it is just worth noting, though, that this navigation that you see here is the same exact navigation that you would have there. So you're just defining that once. And that's pretty it. That's pretty much it. Any questions or anything else?
Great work. Thanks, Michael. All right, so with the overview and kind of specific demo behind us, we're going to go ahead and hand it over to Matt Nolting. We've got a lot of, I guess, first of all, big round of applause, and let's thank all of the partners that we've had building these themes, these layouts. We've gotten a lot of good iterative feedback from the UXD team, but also from product designers, product developers, kind of the community at large, as we've been building this. So that feedback has been monumental in shaping and kind of course correcting along the way. So we've got a number of products that are early adopters, but Matt has specifically been working on the Hummingbird project, which is live and was announced at Red Hat Summit. So he's going to show us what some of these different features and designs look like in product. Matt, I'll turn over to you. And while he's pulling that up, the one call out is the high contrast theme is not implemented quite yet in Hummingbird. So I think after you share, Matt, I might pull up the PatternFly website just to give a quick show and share of kind of how that looks as well. But I guess maybe a good time to mention, if you do go to patternfly.org, in addition to all of the release notes, you can find at the top the theme switcher, color scheme, and contrast mode switcher. So that's also another great place to take a look. We've got the default PatternFly theme and Project Felt theme on there, obviously light and dark theme. But then you can also look at the high contrast theme and glass. So good way to see kind of what this sort of looks like, what the user experience feels like for these different use cases.
Okay, ready, back.
Great.
Mute button unmutes now. I'll steal the screen from you. Okay, can everyone see my screen well?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so what is the Hummingbird app? Hummingbird is, or images.redhat.com, is a single page React app built with PatternFly 6 that essentially talks to a container catalog API upstream for live container image metadata tags, SBOM, CVE, CVEs, provenance therein. It's actually the first instance of PatternFly and our HDS coming together and appearing in the same app, which is a big win. Sorry, that distracted me. So essentially, PatternFly drives the entire product surface, meaning the catalog itself, the drawer, tables, hero images, all of those things, where RHDS handles primary navigation in the footer. And that's integrated, obviously, at the top of the page, as well as the footer being at the bottom. And it fully supports dark and light theme for both RHDS and PatternFly, which is awesome. And it also supports all of the imagery changes, the responsive imagery changes that happen with light and dark theme. So you can see the, as you can see, the hero images are updated, backgrounds updated. All those things happened pretty dang seamlessly. So I think the PatternFly team for that. In terms of behavior, the primary navigation to any of that container detail is reachable in a couple different ways. You can click directly on a card, opens a drawer for you, and you can scroll through or tab through that data that Hummingbird surfaces. You can search through tables just like you would expect with any other app, especially any other PatternFly app. You can also search. You can find your search. Go here. And filter down to our Go images, anything that's associated with Go. And a couple of features that I especially like are some detailed features that are by clicking on the same card when you have the window open, your drawer closes. Clicking on a different card while the drawer is open provisions that data within the existing drawer being open. Page click closes the drawer. Also notice that the URL query params change. So now we have a search enabled. We'll remove that. Search is no longer in the URL query param. Open a drawer. There it appears, name Go, and it's also connected to the tabs, which means that you can you can copy and share this link directly and navigate directly to the content that whoever shared that with you wants you to see. Also, escape click resets query param as well as the click on the X. This is the most interesting screen. We also have the CVE feed, which bubbles up known CVEs, their status, their lineage, and the date they were last updated. And then we have an about page with surface system vanity metrics, which we all love to see. 31 container images, 88 image variants, 20 published, etc. And then we have request an image, which takes you to an off-page form. Working on that part. Can't think of anything else. Does anybody have any questions or feedback?
No, thanks for sharing. It's great to see some of these designs in use in product. And again, just to reiterate, I think you had weekly feedback for the team of what was working well and what specific use cases that maybe aren't as obvious. So really helpful. So thanks for that.
Sure.
Well, thanks for sharing, Matt. We have a late addition here. Lucia raised her hand and volunteered to kind of help share the high contrast theme. So I'm going to tag Lucia and let her drive that.
Yeah, shouldn't be too much new content if you've joined previous community meetings, because we have had the high contrast in beta for a little bit, but I'll show some new things that we've added since then and also show you that theme toggle that Evan was mentioning. Let me get my tab. Can you see the docs work screen?
No.
What? How about now?
Yes.
Great. So this is PatternFly with high contrast turned on, our doc site. You can see that, like Andrew had mentioned previously, we've designed the high contrast theme to honor system settings. So I actually have prefers contrast set up on my Mac right now. And you can see that it's pulling in both my system color scheme and my contrast mode. And then it also supported across both of our default and new project felt theme, and then light and dark as well. And then you can also choose to override. So even though my system is set to prefers contrast, we are suggesting that you give users an ability to turn that off if they so desire. So you can see I'm just turning on our default contrast mode here. And then I'll also switch into our glass mode just to show you guys that. It's also all on the site. Switch between glass, dark, light, felt, etc. All of the theme toggles are there. But going back to high contrast mode, a couple of the big things that we've added since the previous beta release is high contrast in charts support. So if you go down into the charts, I'll just click on bar charts for now to show you guys this. We've added a number of improvements to increase the contrast in our data visualizations, our charts. So I'll just toggle back and forth. This is our purple bar chart, and you can see that we've done things to increase the colors, contrast for the colors, and also applied additional border styles across a number of our charts too. So I'll just switch to donut utilization, and you can see some of those additional contrast borders being applied. So yeah, that should be across all of our charts, except for Sankey. I think we still haven't yet to add it into the Sankey chart, but all the other charts should have the high contrast option. And then Aaron, our lovely content designer, has put together some really great resources for the guidelines for high contrast theming, and that can be found in our theming style. Our theming pages, we've got now some more details around our high contrast theme and our glass theme, or mode, I should say, contrast modes. And then we also have our high contrast developer handbook, which helps walk through implementation details for enabling high contrast in your products.
Amazing. Thank you, Lucia, for walking us through that.
Mm-hmm.
So just two quick call outs. If you were looking at that navigation and wondering, I want to know more, stay tuned. Aaron will be talking through that in a bit. Also, a lot of thought and intentional design has gone into these different themes. So maybe it all makes sense on the call here, but as you start thinking, hey, I want to pull that into our product, definitely keep the communication open. This meeting is hopefully collaborative. A lot of the information is kind of flowing towards you, but we'd love to get it just right back. So once you start pulling these in, if you do have specific use cases, edge cases, or exceptions, by all means, we're all ears. We'd love to learn more about how people are using these. All right. Well, thanks for that. So we're going to do a little bit of a pivot away from specifically 6.5 and into another exciting area. So we've had a deep focus on AI tooling recently. So we've got a few different presenters who are going to talk through a few different tools we've created. So AI Helpers, the PatternFly CLI, and the PatternFly MCP, all really helpful resources for anyone who's on this call. So I'm going to go ahead and progress AI Helpers. Is this Jeff?
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks. Yeah, so we have an AI Helpers repo. What this repo consists of is a marketplace for Claude Code and Cursor, which helps serve skills and agents, and will help us distribute PatternFly specific skills and agents to other parts of Red Hat and beyond. And as a part of that journey, it was documented, and we made a blog post, which if you were to click on, I don't know, if you want to click on that here link, you can show that, and you can access it from, it's on the front page of PatternFly.org. I don't know, stop sharing.
That went well. I tried to click on the link and crashed my meeting. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay.
Yes, too much. We'll take your word for it.
Okay. Yeah. So we started out with basically some workshops that led to the creation of the existing skills that are in the marketplace right now. And I can show how you might access that through Claude Code, and I can demo that now. So I will we'll start presenting that real quick. So this will just be for Claude Code install. So new terminal session, nothing here. I just happen to be in a particular project space, but you can be anywhere. Open up Claude Code. If I type in /plugins and then tab over to marketplaces, I can add a marketplace. This is just one way to do it. You can actually, in our README, there's a one-line install command for particular plugins within the marketplace, and then also just the marketplace as a whole. But this is just one way to do it. So if you specify, you can see in the first example, owner/repo for GitHub and just AI helpers. So like adding marketplace, clones that repo, and then we see that marketplace now shows up in the marketplace list. When I click on it, I can see that I can browse 6 different plugins. This is the current state of affairs we have right now for the plugin layout, which we've iterated over time, and we're going to continue to iterate over and improve upon and organize and add to. But if I were to install the React plugin, and for my user scope, and then I use the / command, reload plugins to make sure that I have the latest changes, and I try to use, if I / React, because that's the plugin name, I can see all the different skills within that plugin. You can see in parentheses, React is shown. And then all of our skill names are preceded with PF dash. So as if there's any naming conflicts, you know that you're using something coming from PatternFly. So this is Claude Code, and that's how you would, you get the / commands out of the gate for the skills that we have and the subagents. So I just installed it here in Claude Code, but if I were to stop sharing that terminal, open up Cursor, I can demonstrate how that'll look as well. So Cursor agents. So currently, if I go under Cursor, whoops, Cursor settings, and then I click on the rules, skills, and subagents nav item, you can see that you can include third-party plugin skills and other configs in this with this switch right here. So if I come back to a new session here and I just type in /pf or /react, you can see nothing. There's nothing available to me here with / commands. But if I go back to those settings and then I switch this guy on, you can see some subagents and things populating down below here. But if I come back here and I use the /command pf, you can see you have all those same skills and subagents without having a special install for a Cursor. They show up in Cursor because you've installed it for Claude Code. So that's an easy way to leverage Claude Code things within Cursor, even without PatternFly. So maybe you learned something regardless there. So there's also there's a separate install that will be available, actually is available for Cursor. It's not up to date for internal Red Hat users. There's a Cursor specific marketplace install that's independent of Claude Code. But yeah, I won't be showing that today. So let me stop sharing that. And yeah, I just mentioned how there's a lot of room to grow. I mentioned how we're continuing to iterate. We have 18 skills that we're planning on making that we determined based off of some gap analysis of different products that we want PatternFly to be PatternFly skills to be leveraged in. And then we're also investigating and working with the broader UXD team to work on evals for our skills that will harden them and give us more confidence, basically test cases to make sure that they're yielding outputs that we're expecting consistently. So thanks.
Thanks so much, Jeff. Really awesome to see this continue to grow. One quick, not to speak for Jeff, but one quick additional thought is if you already have any skills or use cases that you've created around PatternFly, why not share them? We'd love to see kind of what you're using and potentially pull those in and help maintain those, run these evals, and make that a standard resource that others can use. So, I know that there's a lot of momentum in this area. We're excited to grow this, but definitely are again open to feedback and contributions as well. All right, so next over to Don for the PatternFly CLI.
Thanks, Evan. So the PatternFly CLI, this is a new command-line tool that we are introducing that helps people get up and running easier with PatternFly. Right now, it's for stability to just create application based off our Cs using a simple pf CLI create command. It also integrated code mods, which you can still run separately if you want, or you can use the pf CLI to update your project using pf CLI update. In addition to that, one of the goals with this tool was to make it easier for people who may not be as familiar with Git and just with development to easily create prototypes. So we have things that allow them to save and load, so they don't have to think too much about how to use GitHub. Right now, I'd like to demonstrate how to use it to do a quick prototype and just give you an example of how you can use the tool to do something like that. And there's also a link on that page that also had the ability that has more details about the project, so I can show everything that that the tool can do. So right now, let me share application. Let's see if you guys can see this. Can you see my cursor IDE? All right, cool. So right now, if you want to install the CLI, you just this is on the documentation too. You just run this command. It'll go out and it'll fetch this for you, and it'll go and set up all the dependencies and everything needed to for the CLI. When you're done, you'll get a screen like this telling you if it's successful or if you have any errors for it. But let's say you want to create your own prototype. You want to create a new one. So you do PF CLI create, and it will ask you what you'd like to create. So I'm going to create one called my dashboard app. And I'm going to use a compass starter with this guy. So it's going off, creating this. It wants to know the name of my project. I'll just keep it the same. And you can put it on a version number if you want, a description. So for us, this is an example project of a compass dashboard. We'll go with that, and we'll put it ahead as the author. Now it's going out, and this is using our seed app, which you can also, do it the way that we've always had it. But this was going to fetch the seed app with a specific build that has compass on it. It's on a specific branch, so it's pulling that down. Setting up your project so you can go ahead and use this and do development if you wanted to, or you can use it for prototyping. Takes a few minutes. But then when it's done, it should give you information of that it's successful. And now it's asking if you want to set up a Git repository. So let's just so we can get this up and posted. It tells you what happens, what it's exactly going to do in case you want to know. And then you just say, yeah, let's proceed with that. So now it's going up to GitHub, setting up a repository, and pushing this up so that you'll have the repository available so you have a place to share your work when you're done. So now if I go into dashboard, you can see that I have all the code that's needed for this. If I was prototyping this, well, if I want to do a build, let's just build this. And should come back and build, but let's say I also wanted to add a new card. So I'm gonna ask Compass to build a virtual machine card for the dashboard. I'll share the screen in a second. I just don't want to have to switch back and forth, but you can also give this a shot on your own just by downloading the CLI. So now I'm gonna have this go build me a virtual machine card from the dashboard section on this. And let Compass go ahead, Compass cursor go ahead and do its work. And then like if you want to see, while we're waiting for this, if you want to see all the commands, if you just do PF CLI and don't put anything, it'll give you the list of all the commands that are available. We have create a net list, this CLI upgrade in case you want to upgrade the CLI, update, save, load, and deploy. Right now, we'll be adding more as we see what the community needs. So now it's done building this. Let's see if hopefully this worked and we don't get any issues. So let's build this guy. And then let's slip on the edge and just push this guy up. We're gonna say, okay, I want to save the new work that I did. So if you do PF CLI save, this will go ahead and it'll go ahead and commit to your changes, and it'll save it up to GitHub, so you don't have to go ahead and use GitHub CLI or go to GitHub at all. Added a virtual machine card. And now it should be up there. Now, since I did a build and I was just doing another one, but once you've done a build, Well, you don't even have to do a build, it will do it for you. But then if I want to deploy this out so someone can see it, so actually I can share a link, so I can do PF CLI deploy, and this is going to go create a GitHub pages for me. So it does do the build if you don't, if you haven't done it. So you don't really have to worry about doing the build, or you could, if you're not familiar with commands, because you're more used to, you don't do a lot of development, you can also ask your cursor agent. You can ask cursor to do it for you, or your other, whatever AI agent you're doing. All right, so now it should be put up there. You got a link. If you click this link, I gotta wait for it to show up, but give it a second. And then also, let me share, I'll share my screen. Might take up to a minute for it to deploy. Assuming GitHub's working for me today. All right, it's up there. Let me share the screen to show you what it added. 1 second while I swap over the screen. Okay, so this is the new changes that were made. It added the virtual machine card. Of course, there's some errors on the size of this window, but there you go. It added the virtual machines and added some cards to it. So I got this up in my prototype. The original one didn't have this. If it was easier to share, I would have jumped back and forth. But the goal is just to make it easier for people to do prototypes, not have to worry so much about GitHub. That's what these features are for. And then again, we also want one single place where we can have all the commands that we use for updating PatternFly or setting up seed projects or anything else that we want to do in the future, and make it also easier for AI agents to be able to do this. So that's it. Any questions or comments, please give this a try. Let me know if there's any, let the team know if there's any concerns or things you'd like to see in it. We're open for feedback. And again, this is just the first release, so we have more. We'll add more as the community says what they need.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Don. That's really cool. You know, a handful of commands to start from an empty directory and spin up an app, save it to GitHub, and deploy it to share. Pretty neat. So we'll look for, we'll probably see this as a recurring theme for community meetings, maybe updates and enhancements to the CLI in addition to our standard packages. All right, so the last AI tool we have today is the PatternFly MCP. So I'm going to pass it over to Nicole.
Yeah, so we wanted to make sure everybody knew that PatternFly does have an MCP that is primarily set up right now to connect any agent directly to our documentation. It is token conscious and has doesn't bloat your context full of all of PatternFly's documentation. It provides many opportunities for getting your questions answered in bite-sized pieces as an agent is working through a PatternFly related workflow. And so, yeah, if you haven't been experimenting with it over the past few months, or using it, I guess, I highly recommend it. It's officially available. The documentation for how to install the PatternFly MCP is on patternfly.org. There is also a Medium article published about how it came to be, and the kind of iteration and experimentation PatternFly did early days to provide guidance and documentation to agents so that it would know how to use they would know how to use PatternFly. I'll show you super quick in Cursor. If you go through the installation instructions, you'll see PatternFly docs show up in your MCP Cursor settings, and it has the primary functions of use PatternFly docs and search PatternFly docs. But this just means if you ever are doing a PatternFly related task, you'll be able to leverage it. So if I could give you an example of help me build a PatternFly wizard. And we'll see it make a handful of tool calls. I hope. Of course, it does what it usually does. Here we go. Make a call out to the PatternFly MCP, where it will look for the documentation about the API of the PatternFly wizard. And if I run that tool, it'll keep digging in to find subcomponents and fetch a whole bunch of the docs directly from the source, or and retrieve it all. So it's pretty easy to get set up and to begin leveraging the ability for it to access our docs. And you should probably, anytime you reference PatternFly in a cursor context or as you're engaging with an agent, you'll likely see calls out to PatternFly documentation from the MCP. And it's been used pretty heavily so far by especially the designers building out prototypes with PatternFly, and the PatternFly team's been using it a lot. So if anybody who continues using it has feedback, we are actively improving and iterating upon the PatternFly MCP. There's a handful of new features that are in the works. We're looking at ways to distribute our AI helpers and our skills via our MCP. We also are pulling together all kinds of PatternFly documentation. So that'll be documentation about brand guidelines, our updated themes, our new layouts, all of the stuff being presented now, all accessible through our PatternFly MCP. So you don't have to do nearly so much time scouring the website. But yeah, wanted to make sure everybody knew that this is live, and I encourage people to check it out.
Thanks, Nicole. Yep, I'll plus one. Speaking of wizards, I guess so just a big round of applause to David Cabrera. He's kind of the wizard behind the scenes and initially getting this kind of to a usable state to that 1.0 release. And then also the MCP does, in addition to having reference to our docs, it has awareness of component schemas. So you'll see any sort of hallucinations drop, if not disappear, just by tying into this. So 100%, 150% recommend, just like our team does, for you to set this up and just let it run behind the scenes, even if nothing else. All right, so moving right along, website updates. We've got some reorganization to our navigation. So I'll hand over to Erin and share the screen for you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just wanted to briefly mention this. If you do go to our website, probably be a pretty noticeable change that you'll see, and you've probably seen in some of the demos today. And that is our new navigation design. You'll probably understand this the best if you just kind of interact with it yourself, but we did want to call it out here today so everyone's aware and provide a little bit of context for the change. So kind of the main features you'll experience on our new navigation are some new top-level conceptual grouping. Our documentation has been reorganized a little bit so that everything kind of is in its appropriate home. And then we've also updated our overview pages across various sections just so they're more up-to-date, accurate, and as helpful as they can be. And these changes were motivated by research. So we did some tree testing and card sorting with 23 designers and developers. So thank you if any of those participants are watching this. That was a huge help. And these changes are focused on improving efficiency and confidence with our website, and ensuring that our content can scale properly as new documentation comes out. And so there are a few links here on this slide too for a little bit more context, the story on Medium, some of the research details, and also a link to share feedback with the team if you have any, and that goes for anything that we're presenting here today if you have any feedback you want to pass along. So yeah.
Great, thanks, Erin. It makes so much sense when you see the after, so thanks for doing the research to get us there. And speaking of research, so we've got Pat with some results on the project felt theme survey results. Left you a couple minutes here, Pat.
Yeah, thanks, Evan. Yeah, it's no big deal. All the high level stuff is on this slide, and I will speak to a lot of the background stuff on this slide, so we don't have to maybe go through all the slides. So all that said, we had a survey at Summit. I'll get into a little more detail about that. We had 16 people respond to that survey, and what the results were, we were basically looking at comparing the see by use experience in both light and dark mode. And we had 16 questions or 16 statements that people responded to positively or negatively, strongly agree to strongly disagree. And there were 4 statements within each one of these dimensions that you see listed here: cohesion and consistency, brand mirroring and trust, visual craft and polish, and clarity and legibility. So at the highest level, we did really well on every one of those dimensions and almost every one of the statements. And that's only a relative statement right there. And I can tell you a little bit more about that. What we did best at is probably the thing that we really wanted to do best at, was cohesion and consistency. And you can see that listed there. People really thought, and we got we got some comments that people thought, yes, this is really a consistent experience across each one of these screens. So that's great. We also got some positive regard for a lot of the brand modernity and trust. Several of those people responded that it looks like an enterprise software app. It feels like one. It's great. It's fitting for that. And we also got some very positive comments and ratings for visual quality. And so, typically, enterprise software kind of gets, pigeonholed as being kind of boring and dull. But, we did well in both of those areas. So I think we proved something there that, it doesn't have to be that way. I think we can produce a compelling visual experience, even though it's enterprise software. So I think that's great. Where we needed to probably improve a little bit was in, a hierarchy, and like, what is the first action you need to do, things like that. Like, people weren't quite sure. We had lower relative ratings on that, like what's going on this screen. And that bears a little bit more investigation. So, and we did compare light and dark mode. They both performed similarly with respect to the ratings and the comments. A slight edge to light mode there. So there were some negative comments on dark mode that I'm not quite sure what to do with. Some of them seem like outliers, but some of them do bear some more investigation. So again, I just want to emphasize that, the takeaway here is like, the direction we've gone appears to be a good one. We do need to do some follow-up. There is some work we probably need to do. I think Andrew mentioned the rubric, which has been distributed among UXD professionals. And that is a more thoughtful exercise. I think we'll get better, more insightful feedback from that, from people who know what to look for specifically. So that will probably clarify some of the things that we take away from this, which is just 16 people, that will help us decide, what additional refinements we need to make. And that's all I got. If anybody has any questions, hit me up, but you can also go through the supporting detail in the slide as well, and after this first slide.
Awesome, thank you. Yes, we do have all of the supporting data here, so feel free to take a look at that. It should be linked in the meeting notes and also in the chat. With that said, we did a great job, -1 minute, keeping it right in time. So thank you to all the presenters, really appreciate it. It's called out right here. We've mentioned it a few times. We're all ears for any feedback, requests, questions you have. You can reach us on Slack at List Patternfly. You can reach out to any of us directly as needed. But appreciate everyone joining today, all the presenters, everyone who had a hand in any of these updates. And I think that's it for today. Thanks, everyone. Hope you have a great day.